From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Shavuot, finding yourself. Very often when we think about religion, we think about coercion, that somehow if I'm a free person, after all, many secular people call themselves free, chavshi. People who are chavshi, they just do what they want to do. And then religious people, they are coerced by the faith. I've heard lectures about how the Torah comes from outside, whereas the ideas of Western liberalism, they come from within. The source of authority is from outside, and therefore it's by force. And even the rabbis speak about the idea of kafalei markagigis, that the Torah was forced upon us at Mount Sinai. There's an element of force. Comes as Sfas Emes and says, nothing could be farther from the truth. Look in the Torah, it says, V'chol ha'amorim takolot. All the nation, they saw the voices. So the rabbis say that at that time it was so clear, the words were so clear, what they heard was like as if they saw the letters. Good. Vayar ha'am vayanu. And the people saw and they trembled. Why does it say they saw twice? All the people saw the voices, and the mountain was in a fire, and then they saw and they trembled. But it already said they saw. It says it twice. They're seeing the voices, and then Vayara, the people saw. Why does it say it twice? Comes as Sfat Emet and says the second time when they saw, Vayar ha'am, the people, you know what they saw? They saw atzmutam. They saw themselves. After all, when it says panim b'panim, we saw God face to face at Mount Sinai. Just like Moses saw God face to face, we saw God face to face. What does that mean? It's like a clear crystal ball. Everything's very clear. What does that mean? Like a mirror. Everyone saw their own surah. Now, I don't mean that they saw their face like you're looking at my face. They saw their inner essence. Their tzura is their ideal platonic form. They saw their souls. They saw who they really are. In the Torah, they found themselves. Actually, the rabbis say when they heard the Torah, their souls went out. What does that mean? Because they saw the essence of their souls up above. And everyone trembled because they couldn't believe that their image was actually engraved somewhere up in heaven. Receiving the Torah was like receiving their soul all over again, because now they could see their soul. The idea is that when we look into the Torah, you might think you see other. You see God wants you to know and what He wants you to do, and as opposed to what you want to do, and there's this whole conflict that goes on. But rather, says this Sfas Emes, you know what happens when you see the Torah? When you look into the Torah, you find yourself. Rabbis have an idea that every person has a chelik in the Torah. That there are ideas that really they're Joel Finkelstein's ideas. They're Jason Lefkowitz's ideas. They're your ideas. But you find those ideas in the Torah. In other words, you bring out your own ideas through the Torah. Now, I don't mean that the Torah is a mirror of my own ideas and whatever I think goes is the Torah. But I mean that some things that I think at the deepest level, if I look hard enough in the Torah, I'll find not just what God thinks, what I think. Because it comes from my neshama, and my neshama comes from God. My neshama knows what to think. My neshama knows what's right. When my neshama sees those ideas that are right, that are spot on, you know what it does? It realizes that it's seeing itself. Far from thinking that on Shavuot, we receive this foreign substance called the Torah. We have to impose it on ourselves like a mountain imposed on our heads. Rather, let us see the Torah as something that's really within us. That's something we want to embrace. The rabbis say, one of the deepest teachings of the Torah, as the Rav brought out in his book, Uvikashtem Misham, should seek from there. One of the deepest ideas in the Torah is that we have to try to realize, not just to see that everything that God says is what I want to do. No, not just that. To see that what He wants to do, that is what I want to do. At the lower level, I say, no, I want to have fun. I want to do different things. I don't want to do things that God wants me to do. But at the higher level, the Ratzon Elyon, my deepest desire, whatever God says, it's exactly what I want it to do. Whatever God wants me to be, that's exactly what I want it to be. That's exactly what my neshama dreamt for me to be. It dreams in the middle of the night. It dreams subconsciously and unconsciously. It's constantly dreaming of that. When it says in the Psalms that my soul is longing for God, it means that my soul is longing to get in touch with itself by getting in touch with God. If we could stop thinking of the Torah as this other thing that's imposed on us and start thinking of it as our deepest selves, that it's returning, as someone said, return to who you are, return to what you are, return to yourself. Then I think we have a lot easier time getting back to the Torah. Shuv banim shavavim. When God calls on us to come back to Him, we say, well, I have to go so far. No. Karov elecha davar ma'od. It's very close to you. You know why it's so close? Because it is you. The Torah is you. Sometimes, you get a beautiful dress, you get a beautiful suit, and you say, that dress, it's just so you. That suit, it's you. Those glasses, they're you. You know what? When you put on the Torah, you try it on a little bit. You say to yourself, this Torah, it's me. It's just for me. Let's hope that this Shavuos, we'll hear those voices, we'll have that seeing of the other, seeing of these great ideas of the Torah. That's the first Vayiru. Then we'll have the second, Vayar Ha'am, the second sight, where we'll realize this is not something from the outside. This is just right, just for me. Thanks for joining us here at the Anshe Sfar Beth El congregation for a discussion of Shavuos. Join us each week for a discussion of the holidays and the Parsha. Thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit asb.org.